There's 1,000 ways to vanish from a life, and death is the kindest among them. A man can endure solitude, he can even endure grief, but what breaks him is the slow realization that he is being forgotten by the living, not out of malice, but because the world does not stop to mourn what quietly dies. And perhaps that is the most violent thing of all, and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. Erasure. Erasure is a fate more dreadful than death because death in its finality spares the soul the torment of lingering in a world where it is no longer seen and no longer acknowledged, whereas erasure is a slow dissolution inflicted by the living themselves, a slow and deliberate vanishing act carried out in broad daylight by those who choose to remember you no more, to speak your name no longer, and to retract the very existence you once inhabited in their lives, as though you had been a mistake. It is not the sudden severance of ties, but the removal of the very thread that connects one human heart to another. This slow disappearance from the consciousness of another is the cruelest form of exile, a punishment far harsher than physical absence, for it denies not just presence, but also remembrance, and to be forgotten by the living is to become invisible in life itself. The mind reels at the realization that someone once so integral could be removed so completely that their existence becomes a phantom. It is a theft of history, a cancellation of being, and the wounds it leaves are inflicted not by sword or poison, but by silence and neglect. The cruelty is not only in the act, but in the knowledge that no justice exists for such a loss. No memorials are built, no tears are shed, and the world moves on with indifferent speed, while one is left haunted by the absence of oneself in another's mind. And yet, while erasure tears you apart by making you invisible, there are other ways to be cast out, ways that leave you standing, seen by all but held by none. And that is something you need to understand next. Disownment. Disownment is something I keep trying to understand, and maybe you are too, because how can it be that the people who should have been your foundation and share your blood can also be the ones who make you feel like you don't belong anywhere? Like you're a stranger in the only place you ever called home. It's not just being left behind or forgotten. It's a slow, silent kind of rejection that doesn't scream but cuts deeper than any fight or anger ever could. Because it tells you without words that no matter what you do, no matter how much you suffer or change, you will never be part of them. And that shatters your sense of belonging in a way you can't easily explain. It makes you question everything you thought was true about yourself and where you fit. And we're all searching for a way to hold on to who we are when the people who should have known us best decide to turn away, leaving us with questions and wounds that never fully heal. People aren't just good or bad. They are kindness and cruelty mixed deep within. Sometimes the hardest truth is not who did wrong or right, but how quietly a soul can turn away, how easily a place once sacred becomes empty. It is in the stillness of being forgotten by those who should know you best that the soul feels the deepest cut. But sometimes loss isn't leaving, it's betrayal so close it shakes your whole world. That's what's next. Cheating. Don't speak to me of betrayal like it's some impulsive sin, like it's just a mistake made in a weak moment, like it's nothing but a secret kiss or a bed shared in the dark. Cheating is not about what was done. It is about what was allowed to die. Because no one cheats out of nowhere. They cheat in the heart first, in the mind, in the gaze. And long before they touched another body, they turned away from yours. Now, you must carry the unbearable knowledge that love, in the wrong hands, becomes a lie, said with clean lips and steady eyes. You must carry the memory of someone looking at you like you were the only one, when they had already placed someone else in the seat you still thought was yours. And you will begin to ask the questions that have no answers. Was any of it real? Did I imagine the closeness? Was it love? Or was I just something soft they needed to pass the time? For a moment, I thought that was love too. Do not tell me cheating is a mistake. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary or saying something you didn't mean. Cheating is chosen. It is rehearsed in the mind, excused in the conscience, and acted out in full awareness. It is decision. Cheating exposes the fragile nature of human bonds, revealing a truth we often avoid. Love alone does not guarantee loyalty. It is not merely a personal failing, but a symptom of deeper complexities within attachment and trust, shaped by biology, psychology, and the unpredictable chaos of choice. For centuries, we held promises as sacred, as if they were forged in iron and impossible to break. But in reality, they are more like glass, beautiful, transparent, yet vulnerable to shattering under the weight of human weakness. The rupture caused by betrayal is not just emotional, but existential, shaking the foundation of what we believed about connection and forcing us to confront uncomfortable questions about faith, forgiveness, and the limits of human nature. And while science may explain the mechanisms behind infidelity, it offers no easy comfort for the wounds it leaves behind, wounds that linger long after trust is lost. Death. Death is not the enemy. It is the most honest participant in this absurd theater we call existence. It is the only thing that does not lie. Love lies. Time lies. Memory lies. But death arrives exactly when it means to, says nothing, and takes everything. There is no betrayal in death, because death promises nothing. And the living, in their frantic denial, invent stories, afterlives, reincarnations, legacies, to cope with the silence that follows. But none of it changes the truth. Death is not an event, it is a condition. It is not what happens when we stop breathing. It is what defines the limits of every breath we take. Everything you've ever loved will rot. Everyone you've ever touched will vanish. You too. Yet death is the kindest of all losses. Of all the ways to lose a person, death is the kindest. Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote that, and perhaps he understood something most of us spend a lifetime trying not to see, that there are losses far more brutal than finality.